So, um, have you ever looked at something familiar, something you interact with constantly and just thought, how could this possibly be reimagined?
Yeah, like how do you push the boundaries? Especially in a field that feels, well, maybe already quite established.
Exactly. Particularly when we're talking about traditionally mechanical things.
It's a really fascinating challenge, because true innovation isn't just about making something completely new out of thin air.
Right.
Often it's more about fundamentally rethinking how something works or how we actually engage with it.
And that exact challenge, that reimagination, is really what brings us to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
When you think about pushing boundaries in these traditional fields, what brand comes to mind for you? One that really embodies that constant evolution.
For me, it's got to be Ressence. They're a Belgian brand, really made waves when they debuted back in, 2010?
Hmm.
And they quickly became known for that totally unique orbital-infused concept. The entire dial moves, the subdials rotate.
It's visually stunning, yeah, like nothing else.
Exactly. It instantly became their signature. You probably remember their oil-filled watches, the Type 3
Yeah.
or Type 5.
Those really cemented their reputation for, well, audacious design.
Spot on. And now, as they hit their 15th anniversary, they're certainly not resting on their laurels.
No kidding. So we're going to take a real deep dive into the Ressence Type 7 today. And this isn't just like another version. It feels like it signals something entirely new for the brand.
Yeah, packed with some genuinely groundbreaking features.
Right. So our mission today is really to unpack what makes this watch stand out and maybe think about what these innovations mean for, the future of design and how we interact with these things.
Okay, so when we talk about the Type 7, it's interesting because it arrives right when integrated case and bracelet designs are, well, massively popular.
Oh, completely. That whole sporty chic luxury sports look, it's everywhere.
Exactly. Call it what you will, elegant sports watches.
Yeah.
They're definitely in vogue.
So how does Ressence tackle this trend? Their interpretation must be pretty distinctive, right?
It is. The Type 7's exterior, it's this sleek 41 millimeter wide case, grade 5 titanium.
Nice.
But what's really ingenious and very Ressence is the construction. The case actually has two separate chambers.
Two chambers, okay.
Yeah, one chamber holds the oil-filled dial section, their signature thing, and the other contains the actual movement compartment.
Ah, okay, so they're kept separate.
Completely separate.
Yeah.
And they're divided by a magnetic drive system and a compensating bellow system.
Right, that sounds familiar from the Type 3 and 5.
Exactly. It's crucial for that oil-filled display, keeps it clear, precise, gives you that amazing visual effect. But the pioneering stuff with the Type 7 doesn't stop there, not with just the integrated design.
So that integrated titanium case is impressive in itself, but you mentioned firsts. For Ressence, this is also the first time they've ever put a metal bracelet on one of their watches, isn't it?
That's right, a metal bracelet, and that's a big deal for them.
What's the significance there? And what's the bracelet itself like?
Well, the significance is partly about broadening their appeal, maybe tapping more into that luxury sports market, but doing it their own way.
Makes sense.
The bracelet itself, it's beautifully done, brushed and polished grade 5 titanium, just like the case. And it's fitted with this micro-adjustable deployant clasp.
Well, micro adjust is always good.
Yeah, really practical. It allows for 5 small increments so you can get that perfect fit, as your wrist changes slightly through the day.
Smart. And presumably you can still get it on a strap if you prefer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Leather or rubber straps are still available as alternatives, so options are there.
Okay, so beyond the first ever metal bracelet, what other groundbreaking firsts did Ressence pack into the Type 7?
The other really big one is the functionality. This
Yeah.
is Ressence's first watch with dual time, a GMT function.
A Ressence GMT. Interesting. How do they display that?
It's shown on a clear 24-hour scale subdial, integrates right into their usual rotating display system.
Okay, let's get into that display. Because even if you're familiar with Ressence, the floating indications, you mentioned there are some new things to spot.
Yeah, for the eagle-eyed viewers, definitely. For one thing, there's a fixed bezel now.
Fixed, not rotating with the dial.
No, fixed. And it sort of curves up really smoothly from the top of the case to meet that domed sapphire crystal. Creates a very cohesive look.
Okay, I can picture that.
Uh,
And how is the time itself shown? Still the orbital system.
Oh, yes, the core system is there. You have that large white pointer for the minutes, which actually connects the dial visually to that fixed bezel you mentioned.
Right.
Then there's a large subdial, the one with their hand logo, for the hours. But this hour subdial also has something pretty cool integrated.
Ooh, what's
A
that?
temperature indicator. It uses 11 different color segments that change depending on the oil's temperature.
No way. So you can literally see if the watch is running hot or cold?
Kind of, yeah. It gives you this immediate visual cue about its environment, which is, well, quite unique.
That's fascinating. What else is on the dial?
There's a running indicator. It completes a full rotation every 120 seconds. And get this, it also doubles as a shock absorber for the system.
Doubling up functions. Very clever.
Very Ressence. And then, of course, you have that dedicated dual-time 24-hour display subdial, the new GMT edition we talked about.
Got it. And visually, are there different looks?
Two main colorways. There's a night blue, which is part of their permanent collection, very deep, rich blue.
Sounds nice.
And then there's the XV Aquamarine. That one's stunning. It's a limited edition, only 80 pieces, celebrating their 15 years.
Ah, the anniversary piece, Aquamarine. Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So this brings up, how you actually use the watch, especially one without a traditional crown.
Right, that's always the riskiness thing, isn't it? No crown.
No crown whatsoever. All the adjustments, winding setting, everything happens via the caseback. It's a two-part system.
So how does that work? I always find that intriguing.
Okay, so the outer ring of the caseback, that primarily acts as a locking mechanism. It guarantees the waterproofness. You turn this outer ring, and that moves the watch into setting mode.
Okay, unlocks it, essentially.
Exactly. Once you're in setting mode, you rotate the central section of the caseback. Counterclockwise winds the movement.
And setting the time.
When you rotate that central section counterclockwise to wind, the dial itself actually turns clockwise, and each full rotation advances the time by 1 hour.
Wow, so you're physically turning the whole display mechanism via the case back.
You are. It's a very unique tactile experience, quite different from a standard crown.
I bet. I remember seeing videos. It looks almost like winding a tiny, intricate machine.
It does.
Nice.
It felt a bit strange the first time, maybe like learning a new language for a second, but then it just clicks, feels quite intuitive in its own way.
So how do you set the new GMT function then? Is it the same rotation?
It's a bit different for the GMT, the dual time indicator. For that, you need to rotate the caseback slowly clockwise.
Clockwise, okay.
As you do that, the little GMT subdial jumps backward hour by hour until you get the correct home time set.
Okay. So maybe not the absolute simplest GMT adjustment out there.
It's probably not the easiest, no. But you have to consider the constraints, right? A pusher, which is common for setting GMTs.
Yeah.
Well, how would you integrate a pusher into that constantly moving, oil-filled ROCS system, the Ressence Orbital Convex system? It would be incredibly difficult, maybe impossible, without compromising the whole design.
That's a really good point. A fascinating design challenge born from their own signature technology.
Yeah.
Does working with that ROCS module, the oil, the magnets, present other weird challenges or opportunities?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole movement construction is in two distinct parts, remember?
Right, the base movement below, ROCS module above in the oil.
Exactly. You've got a mechanical base movement down in the lower dry chamber, and then the patented ROCS 7 module sits up top in the oil-filled chamber.
And the magic is how they connect.
Precisely. The ingenuity is that kinetic energy gets transferred between these two isolated parts using a system of micromagnets. There's no physical link.
Clever. Very clever. What's the base movement itself?
It's a reliable ETA base, runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 hertz. Gives you about a 36-hour power reserve.
So a solid foundation.
Yeah, it's a testament to how Ressence can take a robust, proven engine and then build something utterly unique, visually captivating, and mechanically complex right on top of it.
And that caseback we were talking about, the adjustment system. It's not just a flat cover, right?
No, the backside features what they call a new Ressence Compression Lock system.
Yeah.
This system is key. It locks everything down, compresses the gasket to ensure water resistance, but it's also your interface. It's how you wind and set the whole thing, your tactile connection to the mechanics.
Very integrated thinking.
Yeah.
So the big question then, all this innovation, the titanium, the GMT, the bracelet, what's the damage price-wise?
The price for the Ressence Type 7 is set at CHF 36,000. That's excluding VAT, of course.
36,000 Swiss francs. High-end, as expected for this level of engineering.
Definitely.
And just to remind everyone listening, the night blue version is part of the permanent collection.
Correct.
But that really striking XG Aquamarine, the 15th anniversary one, that's limited. Only 80 pieces worldwide.
Exactly. Making it a pretty special collector's item for their milestone.
Yeah. So let's kind of wrap this up. To recap, the Ressence Type 7, it really feels like it's pushing things. You've got that integrated design trend tackled in a very Ressence way.
then the groundbreaking addition for them of the metal bracelet.
Yeah, and the unique GMT functionality there first,
Yeah.
all wrapped up in that signature orbital display and the distinctive crownless operation.
It sums it up well.
And it really leaves us, and you listening, with some big questions, I think, like what do these kinds of innovations actually mean for the future of watch design and how we interact with watches?
Yeah, and how does a brand like Ressence manage to redefine a classic concept like the integrated sports watch or the GMT while staying so incredibly true to its own unique identity? It's a tough balancing act.
It really is. They're clearly embracing new tech, new trends, but at the same time, they're doubling down on this really tactile, really mechanical innovation.
Yeah,
It completely redefines how you wear the watch, how you adjust it.
it does.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Mm.
In a world that's just increasingly focused on digital interfaces, touchscreens everywhere, what does it mean for a brand like Ressence to lean into that tactile, mechanical side, even as they innovate? What might you prioritize in a watch that feels genuinely futuristic, but is still fundamentally mechanical at its heart?